Okay, let's talk about a challenge that just about every SaaS provider runs into eventually: managing your content delivery network, your CDN, when you're scaling up. A CDN is all about getting your content to users faster, but when you go from a handful of customers to hundreds or even thousands, managing all those configurations becomes a massive headache. I mean, just picture it. You've got 100 websites for 100 different customers. Are you really going to sit there and create and then maintain 100 separate CloudFront configurations that are all basically the same? No way. That's a total nightmare waiting to happen. It's slow, it's repetitive, and you're just asking for mistakes. Well, the good news is you don't have to live that nightmare. Amazon CloudFront has rolled out a new architecture that completely flips the script on this. It turns that operational pain into a super streamlined process. So let's dive in and see how it all works. So here's our game plan. We'll kick things off by digging into that CDN scaling problem. Then we'll compare the standard and multi-tenant models. After that, we'll break down the new architecture with a really simple analogy: the blueprint, the house, and the street. We'll also cover customizations, point out the limitations, because there are a few, and finally, help you figure out which approach is the right one for you.
Right, so the heart of the issue we're tackling here is moving away from endless repetition and embracing reusability. The whole idea is to stop building the same thing over and over and instead create a system that's designed from the ground up to be reused. And this slide really just lays it all out. On the left, you've got the old way: one distribution for every single app. Sure, it works, but it just doesn't scale well. Now look at the right. That's the new multi-tenant model, where you create one template you can reuse again and again. This is the game changer for getting efficient and keeping everything consistent across your whole platform. Okay, so let's properly define these two approaches. Getting the difference between them is absolutely key to using this new model correctly. First up, we have the standard distribution. This is probably the classic CloudFront setup that most of us are familiar with. It's basically a self-contained package for a single website. It gets its own endpoint, that d123.cloudfront.net address, and it serves traffic straight to your users. It's simple, it's effective for one app, no problem there. And then we have the multi-tenant distribution. Now, this is a totally different way of thinking. Don't think of it as a website, think of it as a template. And here's the most important part: it cannot serve traffic by itself. It doesn't even have a routing endpoint. It's literally just a blueprint that exists to be copied from. So you might be asking, why go through all this trouble? Well, the benefits are huge. You slash your operational workload, which means you can onboard new customers way faster, and your total cost of ownership goes down. You can guarantee every single customer gets the exact same, consistent, secure setup. But, and this is key, you can still make specific customizations for each one. It's really the best of both worlds. To make this whole thing feel a bit more real, let's use a simple analogy. We're going to talk about a blueprint, a house, and a street. These three things are really the core of how this multi-tenant architecture works. So first, you've got the blueprint. This is your multi-tenant distribution. It's the master plan. This is where you define all the stuff that's going to be shared: how content gets cached, what security rules are in place, where your origin files are stored. You design this blueprint one time. Okay. Next up, you build a house using that blueprint. This is what we call a distribution tenant. Every customer gets their own house. And because it's built from the blueprint, it inherits all those rules we just talked about. But it has its own unique street address, its own domain name, like customer1.myapp.com. This is the front door for that specific customer's content. And finally, all of these houses need to be on a street so people can actually find them. That's the connection group. It provides that single, shared CloudFront endpoint that all the different tenants use to connect to the internet. Think of it like all the houses on one street sharing the same underlying roads and utilities. Now you might be thinking, okay, so all the houses are built from the same blueprint. Does that mean they all have to be identical? And the answer is no. This whole model was designed with flexibility in mind. See, each tenant, each house, can have its own unique touches. You can give each one a different domain name, apply specific security rules using AWS WAF, that's the Web Application Firewall, or even block access from certain countries. But the most powerful feature here is using parameters to dynamically change things, like which S3 bucket, that's Amazon's storage service, is used as the origin.
And this right here is where the magic happens. In your blueprint, you can define your S3 bucket name with a placeholder, something like customer name. Then, when you create a new tenant, you just plug in their specific value, like Acme Corp or iNetTech, and boom, CloudFront automatically points that tenant to the right S3 bucket. It's super powerful.
Of course, with any cool new architecture, there are always some trade-offs. So it's really important to know what features aren't supported so you can plan for it.
Okay, this is a big one, so listen up. It's all about how you secure your S3 origins. The older method, called Origin Access Identity, or OAI, is not supported with this model. You have to use the newer, more flexible method called Origin Access Control, or OAC. This is a really critical point, especially if you're thinking about migrating an existing setup.
And here are a few other key features that you can't use with multi-tenant distributions. Things like continuous deployment, the old WAF Classic, and trusted signers for signed URLs. They're not available here. So you'll definitely want to review this list and make sure this architecture is a good fit for everything you need to do. So with all that said, how do you actually choose? Which path do you go down? Well, at the end of the day, it really just comes down to your specific use case.
This table makes it pretty straightforward. If you're just managing a single website or a single app, hey, the standard distribution is still your best friend. It's simple and it works great. But if you're building a SaaS platform with tons of customers, or you're a big company managing a portfolio of different brand websites, then the multi-tenant distribution was literally built to solve the scaling problems you're facing. And that really brings us to the final question to think about. By shifting your mindset from one-off configurations to this reusable blueprint model, you can build a content delivery system that is way more robust, consistent, and efficient. So the real question is your infrastructure ready to make that leap?